Jenna is a very, very good friend of mine. I have known her for several years, and any time that I ever spend time with Jenna, I always walk away feeling like a better person, but I've also learned a whole lot of things, and I love my time with Jenna. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. She is a successful entrepreneur and networking extraordinaire. Her passions include helping others find a success system to build their dreams financially, socially, mentally, and spiritually. She prides herself in helping others to start a fruitful business in direct sales and beyond. And she is brilliant when it comes to those direct sales. I've watched her, it's amazing. From speaking and teaching to coaching those around her, feel her excitement for life and business as she encourages them to join in blazing their own trail. Jenna has a rewarding position networking in BNI as a director consultant and a new chapter launch director. Even though she graduated from business college with honors, she firmly believes in continued self-development, growth, and letting life be the teacher. She is enthusiastic about expanding her reach in the community with accelerated global connections and taking networking to new heights. I'm so excited for you to be able to hear all the wisdom that Jenna has for us tonight. So please help me welcome Jenna Thompson.
How many of you would be honest if you're at home by yourself? How many of you would pick that up? All right, the rest of you, we'll keep an eye on you. I really want chocolate. I really love chocolate. And there's many things that chocolate can represent to us. So what are some of the reasons why we wouldn't pick that up in this? Go ahead.
My dog would eat it.
Your dog would get it first? Okay, some competition. What else? You don't know where people's feet have been?
You don't know what people would think.
You don't know what people would think. They could be judging you, right?
Depends on where you drop it.
Depends on where you drop it. Okay, okay. How about is probably half price Friday after Valentine's Day anyway, so maybe you could wait. Okay. Good thing I'm not wearing a skirt because you guys didn't pay to see all that, so maybe that's another reason why I wouldn't pick it up. Okay. But so tonight I want to focus on helping us get what we really want. That's the power of now. I'm assuming this is our. So first of all, I want to talk about one of the words or one of the steps we can take towards getting what we want. And that is to get a particular word out of our vocabulary. It's a very nasty word. It's a 4-letter word. Starts with F. It's the F word, okay? We use it all the time. In fact, I bet you we've all used it today. Okay, and that word is Amy Tyson. No, that word is fine. How many of us say, I'm fine? I'm fine. Now, you're all going to owe me $1 that we're going to put in the swear jar every time we say that we're fine. Because if we can't admit that something is amiss or that we want more and we say that we're just fine, we'll never go after it, right? And the funny thing is, my mom's in the room. Where's Mom? Say hi, Mom. When I was younger, this is what my mom taught me that FINE stood for, okay? It stands for effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, okay? So now when you say you're fine, that's really what you're saying, okay? So if we can get that out of our vocabulary, let's all think about one thing that we would love to go after, okay? When we talk about our dreams, what happens is when we're younger, we have all these dreams, these goals, these visions for our lives, right? When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut or the president or a doctor or whatever it is. And over time, our dreams are over here and we expect that life is going to take us step by step towards our dream, right? But if we don't take those steps, we end up bringing our dream down to our reality. And we start to give up and we start to feel crushed, okay? Crushed by our dreams because we're not going after them. And here's the other funny thing. I was thinking about going after our dreams, and what does that really look like? Kind of more like this, right? There's no fancy stair step, easy way to do it step by step. Now the picture on the left, if someone is selling you this, it's very much overpriced. You can't afford it, and it's going to cost you a lot more than you think. Because the road to success, how many of you can relate on the right side? Relationships, business, health. It's a kind of a winding journey to get to the top of whatever success is. Okay? So I'm going to talk about something that I learned recently. How many of you are TED Talk fans? TED Talks? All right, I'm in the right group. Listened to one recently by Mel Robbins. It's called Stop Saying You're Fine. And she made me think about something and educated me on a very different concept to what we already know. How many of us are familiar with the iceberg that's underneath the water that you can't see, called your subconscious, right? So on top you see the iceberg and all this kind of stuff, but underneath our minds are just paddling away, right? There's so much going on that literally controls us. And one of our biggest enemies is our subconscious. It's the snooze button. And this is one thing that Mel Robbins taught me, is that everything we want, our dreams, are in the unknown, right? Because we haven't experienced them yet. And so our subconscious is literally programmed to keep us alive. It is in survival mode. So it wants to keep us in this safe little bubble called what we know, also known as our comfort zone, right? And so anytime you want to go out of that comfort zone, it pulls on the brakes. How many of you have experienced that? You get inspired to do something, and then we go into, I don't know if you're like me, but analysis paralysis. Any overthinkers in there? Yeah, a lot of heads nodding. Just like the chocolate bar, I really want that, but what will other people think? They're gonna judge me. Where's that been? You know, maybe I can get it later. All these different excuses come up. So if I could show you how to overcome this massive subconscious that's sabotaging our success, how many of you would want to know? All right, so I'm going to show you how to overcome it. It's literally called the 5-second rule. Okay, so what's the 5-second rule? I'm really not going to pick that up, trust me. But the 5-second rule is when you get inspired to do something, you literally have 5 seconds to take some form of action. Okay, for example, in getting over the snooze button, you rip the covers off and you stand up into that cold room, and that's your 5-second rule. You get 5 seconds to do that, okay? How many of us are inspired to do something nice around Valentine's Day? Okay, you get 5 seconds to take action. We have a lot of health people in the room. How challenging is it? We say that we buy on emotion and justify with logic, right? So taking those little steps, it doesn't have to be big, it just has to be something to create that momentum to get you out of that comfort zone, away from the traps of the subconscious, to taking some action. So I'm going to share a little bit. One of my hobbies is racing cars. Any lead feet in the room? Yeah, don't let the high heels fool you. I know how to throw down on the racetrack. This is me a few years back. I was driving a Toyota Celica down at Winona Technical College. You can see the cones in the back. So it's about a 60-second track. And it is intense, and it is a lot of fun, okay? One thing that I learned is that however I start my race is how I can continue through the whole thing. So if you kind of start like timid, like a Sunday driver, you're really not ever gonna have your best time. How many Brian Tracy fans in the room? Eat that frog. Start out with your most difficult task and get through that so you get that confidence up there. I know we have a speaker that speaks on how to boost your confidence and those types of things. And so this particular track was great because I got revenge on my oldest brother. How many of you have those older siblings that scare the chocolate out of you? And this was an amazing track because in the back of it, so you kind of wind around and there's a big sweeper and you come down to a peninsula, so you have to shift into first gear. And then when you come out, there's really nothing to stop you from flooring it. So imagine getting to the top of second gear, you're around 50, 60 miles an hour, and he was in the seat next to me, so I'm driving. And as you go down the track, you don't really know this as a spectator, but there's a really hard left. And beyond the track, there's a fence, okay? And so I know that I'm flooring it, and I'm just doing little twitches because there's not much to do. And at the last possible second that I know in my mind, because I walked the track first, I'm gonna literally punt the brake, turn the steering wheel, hit the gas, and pull myself, because it's front wheel drive, pull myself through the turn and miss the cones. Well, to the guy next to me, my brother, it looks like you're going for the fence. And so I scared him so bad, and it felt so good, because he's that brother that has a 78 Trans Am, and he's the one, you see him in the movies where they make the turn and the rear end comes out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I got my revenge that day. But I learned a lot of things on the racetrack. Number one, start out strong. Rev it up, push it down, get it going, because that's the only way you're going to set your personal best record is by starting out strong. So every day, let's do that. Let's start out strong. Let's not hit the snooze button. I know I did it. I do it quite often. It's something that I'm personally working on. So I should really have a mirror right here so I can talk to myself. So another thing I learned on the racetrack is, it was a different one. I learned that to find your personal limit, how many of you know you can imagine on a racetrack, to find your personal limit, you have to go over it. What does that look like to most people? It's this other F word. Failure. It looks like failure. Actually, for me, what it was is I had my turbo neon, my nice blue sparkly car, and I was coming around a sweeper, coming down a hill, and I tried to do something I'd never done before, okay? I tried to miss a cone, steering. I tried to shift into third gear and touch the pedals on the brake at the same time. You don't do those three things at the same time. I learned this because I spun out and I found the grass. Also known as failure, right? But here's one thing that my coach, my mentor, my brother, my other brother, taught me. He said, Jenna, wherever you are, you have a different perspective. He said, number one, when you get back on the track, when you start your car up and you get back on, don't limp it back just because you spun out. He said, be aggressive, finish the rest of your race. And he said, here's the other thing is, whenever you spin out, you actually could have an advantage because you have a different angle, you have a different perspective than everyone else that's run that course. And so you might find some advantage to being over there in that position and just finish strong. And the fun thing about that one, any competitive people in here? All right, I knew I liked you guys. Very competitive. And that day, we get about 6 chances to go around the course and get our best time. One of those I spun out, that was not my best. But I set a personal best record that day. And I came in, there was about 100 plus drivers, and I came in 8th, raw score, with my car. And my car was not the nicest, fastest, prettiest car that day. And I came in 8th out of over 100. And I tell you what, I was at the timing station volunteering, and I'm like, I'm faster than you, I'm faster than you. I'm just having a great time. And this is the time that I spun out, right? And so just learning to accept those failures as just pushing the limit and finding the limit. So a lot of great times on the racetrack. I'll be one of my goals that I put on my vision board, and it was on my Facebook wall, was to get a different particular car, and I just got it in December. I'm the only crazy person that gets a rear-wheel drive car in the middle of winter, but I'm excited for the snow to be away because right around February, it's a different itch than Valentine's Day, but you get the itch to want to drive and want to go fast with all this snow. So I invite any of you guys that want to come out with me on the racetrack. It'd be a lot of fun. The only rule is your first ride has to be with me. So that's some of the things that I've learned about getting it going. Speaking of Valentine's Day, I want to explain something that I learned about how amazing we each are individually, okay? So speaking of Valentine's Day, biologically, here's a statistic on how we got to be here. So mom and dad loved each other, all that kind of stuff, right? So the chances of you getting here with your parents is 1 egg from mom and 1 swimmer from dad, but that's a 1 in 500,000 chance at least. So how many of you should feel a little more special that the odds of you being here are at least 1 in 500,000, okay? One other number I'm going to share real quick is I have someone in my life that I get to see every week that is teaching me about gratitude. And you might have people in your life like this as well. I have a part-time corrective massage business, and I have a client. I work on her and her mom. She was an unfortunate person. She was 1 in 25 million that at age 9, she got a vaccine. And unlike most little girls, this vaccine started to shut down her body. So fast forward a few years later, she's not playing anymore, her body's shutting down, and she's getting these horrible seizures. And I don't know if you guys know anything about seizures, but it literally scrambles your brain. So you don't have short-term memory. What does that mean? It means that you can't learn. You can't build on experiences and memories. Okay, so she is, at this point, she's in a hospital bed. She needs help moving, needs help eating, all these kind of things that she can't do on her own. So I'm part of her care team, which is, it's inspirational to me because people that go through those situations, what they wish for the rest of us that don't have to deal with that is that we're grateful for those little things. We're grateful that we can enjoy the flatbread pizza out there. We get to enjoy the fact that we can speak and communicate and do those things. We can implement the 5-second rule and have those experiences and stuff. So I'm very grateful to have that experience in my life, to have inspiration just to be grateful for those little things. Then I want to share one other statistic with you guys. So not only this party statistic, but there is another one about the chances of us being born to the parents that we were born to, born at this point in history, in this particular geographical area and all the other variables. And they did their calculations and they literally found that we all are 1 in 400 trillion chance that you get to be you right now in this room. And that we can use the 5-second rule, we can overcome those objections that we have to get what we want, and we can go out and make a difference. So I want to leave you with this one challenge. Since it is Valentine's, I brought some chocolates to share with you guys. If I can get some help passing these out. See, all the chocolate lovers come to help me. I love it. So if you can pass those out, take 2 or 3 of them. And here's the exercise that I have for when we're done presenting is here, so don't eat them just yet. So in order to get a chocolate, I want you to share with someone how you're going to implement the 5-second rule. What is one area of your life that you're not going to let the comfort zone, fear, whatever it is, judgment, rule you, but you're going to go out there and you're going to take action right away when the inspiration comes. So when you share that with someone, you get to steal their chocolate. How many of you like this? That's a good plan. So I hope you learned something new and interesting today and can take home a nugget. Share the hugs. I know you're supposed to have 12 hugs a day, although mine are sticking with me a little too long. But let's have fun, enjoy the rest of the day, and welcome back up Tara Schmeichel.